Welcome, fellow Phoenixes, to the Spiritual Phoenix Podcast, where we make a daily offering to the divine by putting our past on the pyre, searching the smoke for spirituality, turning the ashes into art, adapting isolation into connection, and manifesting mental wellness. I'm your host, Ross Cessna, and I'd like to take a moment and focus on what we're grateful for today. Today, I'm grateful to live in a house with heat. The furnace wasn't working when I woke up today. It was a little bit cold, but it's 11 degrees out here, and there's homeless people outside who are quite literally freezing. So I have a lot to be grateful for, even though it was 60 some degrees in the house when I woke up. At least it was 60 some degrees. It could have been substantially worse. I have a couple of quotes I'd like to share for today's episode. The first one is, "I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who conquers his enemies, for the hardest victory is over self." And that was said by Aristotle. The next one is, "Never have I dealt with anything more difficult than my own soul, which sometimes helps me and sometimes opposes me." And that was said by Ghazali. I hope I said that right. And today's episode is about resentments. I've happened to acquire several resentments over the past couple weeks. I've worked through them for the most part. I still have to let go of them some more, but lately I've been acquiring a considerable amount of resentments, which are based on anger, which is based on being hurt, which is based upon an expectation of how I should be treated or how things should be. Resentments are dangerous to me because they put me at war with another. I am no longer able to afford the luxury of anger. When it manifests in my mind, I have to dissect it to find out where it stems from. Often it is from truth I did not want to hear. There is a quote that is attributed to both Buddha and Nelson Mandela, which says, "Anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die." Sometimes my anger is justified. However, anger will only hurt me. It causes physical changes to my body, mind, and soul. Beneath this anger lies a lesson to be learned. One of the lessons I have learned lately is that I think differently than many other people. My life experiences have taught me lessons some people refuse to study or haven't gotten to that quote-unquote book yet. If I am trying to expand my consciousness, I cannot avoid anyone or any experience. I can, however, limit my exposure as to not allow myself the luxury of anger. I don't perceive myself as better or worse than anyone when I am thinking clearly. I have just studied different lessons and am on a different subject. Assigning myself a level based upon my knowledge shows that I didn't retain other lessons very well. Some will say you are an old soul, you have a higher vibration, etc. I have fallen into this trap myself, and I still occasionally do. However, I don't think this is necessarily the case. It is not for me to assign myself a label. It is for the divine source energy or the fathomless unknown. I am a human, like the rest of us. If I assign myself a superior title or get caught in ego, it separates me from others, which in turn makes me loftier or better than, which I am not. I am capable of the highest good and the ultimate evil. In my opinion, thinking myself the highest good is one of the ultimate evils. My purpose here is not to elevate myself or teach anyone anything besides myself. If you learn from my experiences, you are teaching yourself to listen to the wisdom found in the suffering of another. How can I then take credit for this? I have said before that I don't believe evil exists. I would say now that that isn't entirely true. It may be kind of hard to understand, as it does and it doesn't. Evil, in my experience, is often done for the perceived greater good. Other times it is done to fulfill one's own deepest desires. Evil itself is a judgment created by humans about a situation. However, when we do so, we are judging God, as it is my belief He is the source of all things, or not He, rather. Even though I don't follow the Bible, in the Bible, God created an arch nemesis, Lucifer. Lucifer was the fallen angel that God supposedly made. Sometimes equal or greater evil is done under the guise of justice. This justice is determined by an individual who steps up and then takes the role of source energy or speaks on the behalf of the universe, God, etc. This is inherently flawed logic based upon a created resentment. I cannot speak for every injustice one can acquire because my suffering is based upon my own experience and the realization that I created all my own suffering. I can find value in my own suffering. However, I cannot determine the value of another's suffering based upon my experiences or the experiences I have not encountered. It is my understanding that my suffering is a lesson. I cannot speak for everyone who has ever suffered, though. Love can be misused as a weapon when in fact it is the ultimate neutralizer. It is the flower in the rifle, the shield for the blade, and the hug after the punch. Anger, hate, sadness, etc. are easy to feel but difficult to live with in the long run. Love can be difficult at times, but the rewards are many. I can no longer take the easy route, and it has been a source of my suffering, my mental illness, ailments, and my addiction. As I stated in the episode about the philosophy of personal neutralism, love is not at war with hate, because hate is at war with itself. As many have said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. This does not mean that I don't expose the wrongs of another, quite the contrary. It means I accept their wrongs, soothe myself into loving them, empathize with their suffering they feel that created these thoughts, words, and actions. Inside every heart filled with hate is someone who is scared, hurt, or sick. How can I condemn someone for feeling things I have felt regardless of their actions? It is not my place. My place is to see their wrongdoings, accept them regardless, and try to understand. Their punishment is inherent in their actions, and by punishing them further, I in turn punish myself by either elevating myself for a fall or lowering myself to their actions. Resentments are cancerous and will eat me from the inside out. I do not turn a blind eye to violence, hate, anger, etc., but I accept that they stem from a life I have not lived, and I embrace the humanity of a person. I am on even footing with the most peaceful of people and the biggest mass murderers in history. Only through this understanding can I live a life I understand and release myself from the bond of resentments. That being said, it doesn't mean I won't acquire them at times. I am human, not a saint, a monk, or a yogi. It means I will challenge myself to overcome them. And everything I've said is my own experience for me. There are things that happen in this world that are hurtful, that go against my beliefs. However, I do get angry about them, but I can't stay angry about them because it doesn't solve anything. There's a solution for situations. I don't feel that violence is a solution. Violence begets violence. And with that being said, it's time to put this episode on the pyre. Please check the links below to all my social media accounts. If you are listening to this, you can watch a video of me talking on YouTube. And if you're watching me talk on YouTube, you can listen to me on iTunes or SoundCloud. I do free tarot readings occasionally, and I'm slowly building up a database so you can select a reading at random choice or read the most recent reading. A link will be in the description below. Please leave a review on iTunes if you like the podcast, as it'll help me reach new listeners. You can contact me via message on Facebook if you have any topics you wish to bring to light. You can also potentially be a guest on the show. Ideally, you will have had a major life obstacle you are overcoming or have overcome, and you will have a positive philosophy, spiritual experience, or inspirational attitude about those situations. Please take time to respond to the PodTrack listener survey, as it helps me understand my audience. Also, if you would like to get paid to write, please click the link below. All you have to do is be able to write 5 sentences in English. And with that, love and light, namaste.